All right, let's move on to the East. So my dark horse, I think, and I hate it because a lot of my friends are Heat fans. I'm a Knicks fan. To me, the absolute dark horse in person, the team you do not want to play in a first round as a high seed would be the Miami Heat, 100%. Especially with the addition of Terry Rozier, who's probably averaging about like 20 points. He's only played 40 games this season, but he's averaging 20 points a game. And he's coming on fire towards the end of the season like he always does. They call him Scary Terry for a reason. We all know what the Heat did last year. They brought back their stars and they brought back the experience to make another run. As of right now, they're going to be playing the 76ers in the play-in. But they're the 8th seed, so even if they lose to the Sixers, they'll get another opportunity of the winner against the Bulls and the Hawks. So I think no matter what, the Heat are advancing to play either the Bucks or the Celtics. If I'm the Bucks, honestly, the Heat shot against the Bucks 44% from 3 and shot 50% from the field. And they won essentially a majority of the games in the series. And the Bucks have been so inconsistent. That's like a nightmare for me if I'm the Bucks with this new team going up against the Heat that can upset anybody at any moment. The Celtics, I mean, that'll be a tough series, and I feel like the Celtics towards the end of games are just a different team, and Jason Tatum's the epitome of a superstar that kind of comes up small in the fourth quarter. His field goal percentage is honestly, I looked him up in the fourth quarter, they're always below 40%. You look at the other big-time names in the league, Kevin Durant, call it LeBron, call it all the score big-time superstars, all their field goal percentages come up big when you draw it down to the fourth quarter, over 44% at least. And I think a lot of the Celtics fans can agree with me that if the game's close in the fourth quarter, if they're not totally clicking, they just look like a totally different team than we've seen throughout the year.
Yeah, no, I think
that's my dark horse tonight.
We've had this discussion off, but I think the Heat. I mean, if you make it to the championship, I think they made a mistake letting those three that carried them to the finals. I thought they should have held on to all three of them, and then tried to pick up another piece. But I think they were just so all in on Damian Lillard, they lost focus and they lost three critical pieces that allowed them to go. Because the reason they went to the finals was Strus, Vincent, and where'd Vincent end up on? Lakers,
yeah.
And then I think they did keep one of them. But I thought they should have kept all that together and then tried to add a piece. I still agree with you, though. I think they're the dark horse. I like Rozier. And I think and they're also going to miss Kyle Lowry. Remember, he helped them out in the playoffs last year too. I mean, that was the biggest change of the season.
Talk about a dark horse. Number one, I think, right, Kyle Lowry. You know who else they have on their team? One of your favorite players of all time, Heat. All time. The Australian sensation.
Oh, that's right. They
got Patty Mills, and that to me is.
Oh, that's right. They picked up Patty Mills.
No, so he'll make up for one of those. So he makes up for Kyle Lowry.
That's right. I forgot they signed him.
He makes up for Kyle Lowry, who across the entire season, a Heat fan could say, dude, what is he averaging? Like a point and a half a game, no assists and no rebounds. Like, why do we have this guy on the team? Come playoff time, Kyle Lowry's like dropping 30 and running the entire offense and leading the. Yeah. Not leading. I'm exaggerating, but that.
No, Patty Mills.
Piece, but
Patty Mills is one guy. I agree.
If the series is close, if the game is close, throw Patty Mills out there, and on top of which they got a much more dominant shot creator and scorer in Terry Rozier.
Yeah,
I think that was the goal. They don't want to overpay a lot of those like unexpectedly good players from the playoffs last year. They kind of wanted more reliable. If they're going to pay out that type of money, they ended up picking up Terry. They ended up picking up Patty for pretty much a discount, and I think they kind of made up for that. That's why. They're setting themselves up to do. I don't think they're going to make the Eastern Conference Finals, but I think if you're the 2 seed, if you're the 1 seed, it's like, okay, dude, of any of the play-in teams, please do not give us the Heat. You know what I mean?
Well, I agree. One thing,
Oh,
Patty
so
Mills.
the
I agree.
76ers are technically a
Yeah.
playing team
Well,
now too.
and
So that's
here's the other thing, though, right?
Forgot
The only
about
problem
them.
before you go predicting them to go all the way, they've got to get past the Sixers and Embiid's back. So
no,
so they might get just bounced in the play.
no, that's the thing. So
But they could go all the way.
my first thought was like, okay, what seed are they? They're playing the 76ers first.
Yeah.
No offense to Heat. No, I don't expect them totally to win that game because I mean, before Embiid came off the meniscus, he was essentially the MVP.
Yeah.
I think Jokic is the favorite now. Before he went down, he was it's kind of the favorite. If they lose that game, they still have another opportunity to play either the Hawks or the
that's right.
Bulls,
Yeah.
and then they'll play the Celtics. So I think that
Okay.
no matter what, they're in the playoffs.
In fact, that's what they did last year. So didn't they lose the play-in and then
Yeah, it was
win
something along those
the
lines.
second part?
And I mean, let's be honest, they're not.
Yeah.
They'll beat either of those teams, the Hawks or the Bulls. So I think Sixers probably don't want to play the Heat to have the opportunity to play the Bucks.
Yeah.
But that's not that's
really
going to be a
good
hard
matchup.
game. But
That's a really good matchup. But do they only play one game in that the 7-8? Is that one game? I think that's one game, and then the loser gets the winner.
I mean, they got Bam on a Embiid kind of coming off an injury, a little bit out of shape and whatever. So that it could be a fun game to watch. I would assume the Heat are going to lose that game. I think they're going to end up playing the Celtics. In which case, I think the Celtics are just going to be in for a lot more than they could handle.
Yeah.
I would assume they're going to win that series, but it's still just going to be.
Yeah. Either way, the Celtics.
You never
have
know.
The tough first round, man. They could get bounced in the first round like Milwaukee last year.
Yeah, the Celtics are like, wait a second.
And then they're going to lose.
The Sixers ended up playing. I think the Sixers made that trade earlier to get Buddy Hield and surround Embiid with some real shooters and actually space the floor out like he's kind of deserved his whole career.
Yeah.
But now the Celtics are going to have to play because the Sixers were, 2 or 3 before Embiid went down, and now Embiid's back. They're a playing team, and the Celtics are going to have to end up playing the Sixers in the first round. It's like a nightmare for them.
I thought Embiid looked, not playing-wise, he looked a little rusty.
Yeah.
But as far as physically, he looked good. I mean, he looked like he dropped weight and he was thin. I don't know whether he was lifting weights, dieting, or whatever, but he just looked a lot more, a lot less puffy than he did before he went out. I
He looked
also
a little
think,
fatigued, though. By the
yeah,
end of
he
it.
was fatigued, but he just looked, looked like he was more in shape. I also think the Cavaliers are a dangerous team. They're kind of up and down. They have their roles where they're winning 18 out of 20, and then they might lose 5 out of 7. But they could go on a run, and they have the talent, in my opinion, if they put it together. But
I don't think they make it out of the Cavs. So the story with the Cavs Magic, the Magic narrowly won a few games when Donovan Mitchell wasn't playing, and the one time they won when Mitchell was playing, they limited him to 9 points. So the key to the game is limiting Mitchell. But how hard? You're not gonna be able to do that for 7 entire games. For 4 games. So when Mitchell is playing and playing well, aside from the games they won without Mitchell and the one time they won with Mitchell, put up over 30 points and they won the games pretty easily. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a series the Cavaliers should call it like a 4-2 win, something like that.
Well, yeah, but Magic's another. They're just one of those young teams that they're surprisingly good when you watch them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So. Who knows? They could be like Oklahoma City, where they just get moving in the playoff and they start. You got a lot of kind of banged up, slowish teams in the East, like the Knicks and the Sixers. You know what I mean? Like who knows? Maybe the Magic. I just haven't watched enough of them to predict for them to go anywhere.
Yeah, and so I guess the final matchup to kind of put a button on it. I think the clear favorite in the East, Celtics. I think they're formally easily the best team in the NBA, but once you start looking at them in close games, it's hard to sit there and say they're an absolute lock anymore. Maybe in February, January, it was kind of very obvious, but as the season comes to a close and the amount of 30-point games they've blown, when you look at Jason Tatum's stats when it comes into the fourth quarter, they're a little bit of a question mark to me. The Bucks have been very inconsistent, so they're not a lock. The 76ers, if they can actually get back to what they were before Embiid went down, that's why the East is kind of wide open to me. But
yeah, I agree. Well, there's I heard some other people talking on a show about the Celtics or the house. Do you take the Celtics or the rest of the teams? And I would take the rest of the teams
Oh, I see what you're
because
saying.
the Sixers could give them a run, the Heat could give them a run, the Bucks could give them a run, the Knicks could give them a run.
Mm-hmm.
You just said the Magic could, the Cavaliers certainly could. I mean, there's any one of 6 or 7 teams that could actually give them a series, which means they're going to have a lot tougher road to the finals than people are expecting.
The problem is, like, they abuse their mismatches so well. I think that people have been talking about Porzingis, how he's totally opened up that
Yeah.
team. You have to look at teams that can, like, feasibly guard Porzingis with 2 separate players, and those
Yeah.
are the teams I think that'll give him, like, huge trouble. I don't totally expect them to win the East, but I wouldn't be surprised if they run into someone like the Sixers, if they run into someone maybe like the Bucks. They got maybe like a Bobby Portis to help out Giannis to be guarding Porzingis. That could maybe give him some problems.